waiting for the power within.
I see Jade is here. Hey, Jade! Sorry for our delays. We had some technical issues. I think we're all good to go.
You are live. You are, and there is volume.
Great. That light is blinding me. I don't know what it's set at.
Let me just test your volume, then we'll go.
Okay. So, guys, I'm so glad that you're here today. And we are talking about the 6 steps that keep us stuck. And so I'm going to go through what those are and then offer you some solutions as well. So the reason that we're talking about this today is I put out a request for topics for tonight's show, and I got lots and lots of ideas from my amazing listeners, and they all had something in common, and it was that people were stuck. So what I want to do today is I want to give you some tools that no matter what the situation is, so whether you're stuck with your finances or your food or what you're doing with your time or getting your work done or whatever, I'm hopeful that these strategies are going to help you be able to take some action and turn that all around. So just know that this is coming from a place of total authenticity. So every single mistake that I'm going to talk about today, I have made. And the reason that I know the solutions to all of these is because I had to go screw it up first and then figure it out. So know that these are hard earned. And I promise if you follow my directions that you will not have to go through as painful of a path as I did. So let's get started. Mistake number 1 is not upgrading your operating system. So what this means is that it's that phrase that Albert Einstein said, that if the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result, well, if we don't change the way that we think about ourselves and our experiences, why would we ever expect that we would be able to change our situation? We're using the same old stuff that clearly isn't working, and then we're frustrated that we're not making any progress. So the very first thing that you need to do is to change the way that you think about yourself. So there's 2 different things I've got here. The first one I want you to do is to be thinking about, like, how do you talk to yourself? How do you think about yourself? Is it negative? Have you been beating yourself up? Because, human beings are the only beings on this planet that will beat themselves up repeatedly for the same mistake. So everything in the animal kingdom, like, they make a mistake once, whoops, they move on. So a lot of times we can get so down on ourselves that, of course, why would we ever take action? We were just like berating ourselves. So talking to ourselves like we would talk to someone that we care about is a great first step. But also changing the way that we view our experiences. And so this brings us back to a place of gratitude. So, we have a choice every day for how we're going to see the world. Is it positive? Is it negative? Are we going to focus on all the things that went well? Or are we going to focus on the things that did not go the way we wanted them to? Because remember, it's always a choice. So changing your focus on both of those things will help you. So affirmations, which I've got a video on how to do that. It's called How to Stay Positive. That's the picture that you're looking for. And then practicing gratitude. And that's one of the 3 shorties that I put out this week. I don't remember. Maybe it was last week. I think it's how gratitude stops negative thoughts. There we go. So those 2 videos will walk you through exactly what you need to do. Number 2, this mistake. Ooh, this one was a really tough one for me. And that is focusing only on the end goal, or like the end result, instead of being able to enjoy the journey. And in fact, because traditional goal setting That's what I think about that.
Wow. Wow.
It was really not helpful for me. So in traditional goal setting, you set a goal and it's supposed to be attainable, but how would you know? Because you've never done it before. And so you have this thing like way out in the future. And, you're doing your best to get yourself there, but you really don't know how to do it. And then you don't hit it either on time or in the way that you wanted to. And if you're so focused on something that's so far out, that means every day that you're working towards that, you are a failure because you haven't gotten what you wanted. And I got to a point, I hit some really, really big goals, specifically, big goals. And it was in probably 2011 or 2012. And I just threw in the towel completely on goal setting because I was so angry that I worked so hard to get to this place, and then it was and then what? It didn't make me feel the way I thought it was going to make me feel, and then I was just kind of defeated, and so I wasn't going to set goals anymore. And then I learned that we can set goals based on how we want to feel, and that will allow us to have a win every single day, and it allows us to enjoy the journey of how do we want to feel? And then every day we have control over that based on the choices that we make. So instead of being when I get this thing, I'm going to feel great. No, I'm going to make sure however it is I want to feel, I do it every single day. So, you are so right on chasing the goal. I don't know who you are, but I'm glad you're back. So if you're someone I know, just type your name in so I can see who you are.
It's Barack Obama.
I don't know. It's a cryptic YouTube handle. So
No, that's Shefali.
Is it you, Shefali? It's got an LLC in it. And I was like, I don't know. Is it Skrillex? It's like Scratch.
Drop it. Drop the hot beats. No, it's Shefali.
Okay. I think it's you, Shefali. Maybe. If I'm right, give me a thumbs up. Or say yes.
A goal for Shefali will be to finish her profile on YouTube.
Okay. So we were talking about setting goals based on how you want to feel. And so that allows us to then enjoy every day of the journey and then hit the reset button if it didn't go the way we wanted it to for that day. So that's a way better option than focusing just on an end goal. All right, AJ got me all distracted, and now I don't know if I got everything in there. Did that make sense? AJ, did that make sense?
I don't know, you just threw me under the bus.
Because you got me all distracted.
Here's a goal. There, she said. There. Yeah.
Okay, yay, it's Shefali. Yay! All right, no one said anything like you're crazy and I feel lost, so if I must have covered it all. Okay, mistake number 3. And that is trying to change everything at once. Ooh, this one is pervasive in the world of personal development. And they're like, all right, we're going to set goals in every aspect of your life. We're going to do health and relationships and your career and your spiritual health and money and there could be 5 to 7 different areas that you're like, yeah, I need to work on that and that and that and that and that. And guess what? You filled out this big old chart and you've come up with all the stuff. I'm getting stressed out just talking about it. And then guess what? We don't make any progress on any of them because it is impossible to focus on that many things all at one time. So the solution is to fix one thing at a time. So pick out the one area that is the most important to you, and that's where you're going to focus your energy because we want to create success. We don't want to feel like a failure. We don't want to lose faith in ourselves. But if we're operating under that system, that's the end result, is that we're just and that's not a good place to be. That's not what we want. So if you can pick one, do it awesome. And then you can pick another one because success breeds success. So you got to start out with something that is the most important to you so that you will be motivated. Ooh, examples.
That's from your previous question.
Oh. Tell me more, Andrea. I see your question that came through that you want examples. What do you want examples for? I'll wait. In fact, I'm going to have some water while I wait for you guys to type.
Of goals?
Oh,
or
okay.
feelings?
Of goals for feelings. So, like, how do you want to feel? Like, really common ones are energized, victorious, trying to think of the other one, joy. So some of the terms that people often will come up with are too general, like happy. Well, what do we mean by happy? That's not specific enough. So I know Shafali, when we were together at lunch, we were I think you were there. Maybe yeah. You and Katie were both still there, and we were talking about like, well, I want to feel happy. I'm like, yeah. What does that look like? Happiness is too broad of a thing to determine if I was happy that day. So oftentimes what we really mean by that is that we want to experience joy. So did I feel joy today? Okay. So mine are energized, victorious, and joy. And it's funny, a lot of my clients come up with that same thing. So focused is another one. It's going to vary from person to person, but I think 3 is a good starting place. Because you could probably make a list of 10, but then we're back on the whole too many things to focus on all at once. So the power of 3, I think, works really well in this department. So Andrea's bringing up a great question, and that is, so I'm going to be giving you guys like an overview of solutions here, but I want you to know that I'm actually going to be offering an online course that will walk you through specifically all of these things and then help you put it all together so that you've got this system and you don't have to figure it all out by yourself. So you could figure it all out by yourself, and it takes a lot longer and it's a little bit more painful and exhausting, or you could take it from me and I just walk you through the whole thing. We put it together and then you get accountability and support as we go forward. So to make sure that you don't just do this thing and then forget about it, which is one of our mistakes that we're going to talk about in just a second here. So I've got information on my website about that at coachmarisa.com. And the course is $99, and I'm doing a special offer right now, which is buy one, give one, because we're in a weird situation here, and a lot of things have changed in our world, and I believe that access to the ability to change your life should not be dependent upon or should be available only to the people who can afford it. It should be open to everyone who is willing to do the work. So we're offering scholarships. So every course that's purchased will allow us to give away a course to someone who's currently lacking the resources to pay for it. So it's like a win-win. So I'll talk more about that at the end, but just know that that's available. So if you're getting overwhelmed by all of this, that's okay. I've got a plan for you that you can follow to make it all happen. Okay, we are now on mistake number 4.
Number 4!
Oh gosh, it scared me. Oh, okay.
Let's do it!
Number 4 is not paying attention to the actions that we take that help us be successful. So here's what happens is we're going along in our life and we're like, yeah, just rocking it. We're doing so well. We're achieving the success that we want to achieve. And then all of a sudden, we're not anymore. And we can't figure it out. And the reason that's a problem is because there were all these little things that we were doing that put us in that great place. And if we don't pay attention to what those are, we're going to stop doing them and not realize that it's undermining our success. So oftentimes I have to ask my clients, like, well, so when was the last time you felt really successful? Well, what were you doing? What helped you be successful there? And because if we can pay attention to what those things are, then we just have to make sure that we're doing those things all the time. Hi, Debbie. So that's usually the problem, is that we no longer have this clear path for what to spend our time on every day based on what we want in our life. So my list has continually gotten longer. Like the list I'm currently using, I started doing it in 2014. And then every couple of years I add like a few more things to it, and then a few more things. So so Jade asked a good question of what are ways to hold myself accountable for obtaining goals. So I am successful because I do this, and this. So either daily or weekly, depending on what it is. And then I'm going to say that out loud as part of my process every day. So then as I'm saying it, I could be like, ooh, did I do that yesterday? I didn't do that thing. Oh, no wonder I feel so crappy today. And so you have a built-in accountability loop for yourself twice a day. Because the system I teach is like you do it in the morning when you wake up, and you do it before you go to bed. And that's your check-in point. Because most of us, well, I'm getting ahead of myself. That'll be number 6. So knowing what you need to do every day is the first step on the path to accountability. And so most of us are like, I don't know. Well, if you don't know, how are you ever going to know what to do that's going to get you where you want to go? So this is also interesting. So in the book Grit, Angela Duckworth, I think is her name. Oh shoot, I can't remember. It was a couple years ago that I read it. But she talked about, especially young people, that they set these big goals for themselves. And the example that she used was, I want to be an NBA basketball player, right? So this kid says that, like, that's my goal. And that's all they do, is they just say what the goal is. And then, of course, they're never going to achieve it because they didn't break it down. Well, if I want to be an NBA basketball player, then what are the steps that I'm going to have to make sure that I go through to get me where I want to go? And that's the mistake that we make, is we're not like laying out, like, what does that look like for me? So if they don't know that they should be practicing every day, or be on a team, or, invest in some learning in that area, like, of course they're never going to get to a level where they could be a professional. And that brings us to mistake number 5.
Number 5.
God, AJ's so
Woo!
excited.
Let's go.
So mistake number 5 is that we don't, what's my verb I want to use? That we ignore the potential obstacles. This means, like, if we have a really well-crafted plan, but we didn't talk about the potential obstacles that we could face, then we're going to hit them and be like, ugh, and totally thrown off. And a lot of times that's where we'll just throw in the towel and be like, forget it, I'm done. This is too hard. But if you can think about them in advance and say, okay, well, so what are some potential obstacles I'm going to face? And then how would I overcome them? Should you actually encounter that, you are ready to roll because you've thought about it and you already came up with some potential solutions at that point. So for example, if we go back to the NBA one, this is the other piece that she talked about in the book, is that so maybe kids said, hey, I want to be an NBA basketball player, and here's what I would need to do to get there. They might go that far, but the piece that misses, or that they miss, that really undermines their ability to achieve their goal, is to, pay some attention to what could the obstacles be, so that they aren't surprised when they get there, and that they aren't defeated by them, that they can be like, oh, okay. So if, I'm sure, like, do you guys need some examples there? I only ate half of my dinner because I was busy working, so I'm not at 100%. Oh, look at Chili W Dog. Buffering. Okay. So, if I'm at like a 90%, that's why. Because I skipped a meal. So, yeah, so if you know what those challenges are going to be, then you're prepared for them when you encounter them. Okay, and then that brings us to number 6.
Number 6.
Mistake number 6 is that we set it. Oh, we need, okay. We'll go back. You want examples? Okay, so for example, let's talk about, let's say you want to be a healthy eater, okay? And you're like, yeah, I'm gonna make this commitment. I'm gonna overhaul what I'm eating. I'm gonna make healthy choices. I'm gonna do this. I'm ready. You know, you've got the knowledge that you need, and now it's time for implementation. If you don't identify the places that are gonna trip you up, you're going to have a lower chance at success. So for example, like today, I had so much work to do and I had to meet this deadline that I skipped a meal. So what could be some ways that I could overcome that? Okay, well maybe I have to have some snacks on hand, or maybe I need to have some emergency meals on hand. So for me, my emergency meals are not glamorous, but they get the job done. So snacks would be like having nuts around because they don't require any sort of preparation. If you're in a place where you can't wash your hands, like when I was teaching, I would use like a Lara bar, so I could just pull it out of my pocket, it's in a wrapper, and I peel it down and I eat it. I don't have to wash my hands, so that's not an excuse. And then if it comes to meals, so like I will have tuna, like a can of tuna on hand, and then frozen vegetables, I'll just steam those up, and not thrilling meal, but it'll get the job done. Or if I've got like salad greens, then I'll just throw it all together into a salad with some fruit that's hopefully thawed out. But I usually have apples in the fridge, so I can like toss that in. Anyway, AJ's favorite go-tos for emergency meals are, what is that? Like the Madras lentils and the eggplant punjab and
Big Macs.
No, not Big Macs, but they come in like packets.
We'll go show them one.
Well, I'm hooked in. Can you go grab one? Are there any left?
Well, I don't know if I can get around.
Okay. Anyway, I think they're like Tasty Mate or something. I don't know. They have them at Costco, and they're in the Asian section at the grocery
Madras
store.
lentils and eggplant punjab.
Yeah, and then there's a couple others that have like chickpeas or different lentil ones, and you just throw them in the microwave for 90 seconds and done. So I wanted to make sure I had some vegetarian options out there for you guys as well. So, okay. So those are some examples of like not thinking through what the obstacle could be, and then finding yourself in a really tight situation where you're not set up to be successful. So if you've thought about these things in advance, like we're always going to encounter adversity, like that's just part of the game for being a human being. And so we want to make sure that we have set ourselves up for success so that whatever that obstacle is, we're ready for it when we face it. So, okay, now for real this time, number 6.
Number 6.
Set it and forget it. So that's the old line from the Ronco rotisserie commercials. If you guys remember that from like, oh gosh, was that like 15 years ago now, AJ?
Dating us.
I am dating myself. Jeez. Okay, so this one, let me tell you what happened to me. So with my business in 2017, I had done all this strategic planning. I had quarterly goals. Like it was all super clear. I knew what I was supposed to be focusing on and like taking action on that all the time. Like I knew where I was going and what I needed to do to get there. I also knew what the deadline was. So I had 90 days. And I was like, oh man, that 90 days is coming up. And I don't think I hit any of these goals. And sure enough, I sit down with myself 90 days later and I look at everything that I had said I would do. Like I did the work, right? Like I did the strategic planning. I didn't accomplish a single thing on the list. And I was like, how is this possible? I followed exactly what the book told me to do. Well, what I didn't know is that there was a section at the end of the book, which I didn't finish reading because like I got to whatever. I'm making an excuse. But like there was a part that I was like, oh, this doesn't apply to me. I'm not there yet. And so I didn't realize that I needed to have a weekly meeting with myself to check my progress. So the great news is after 1 quarter of total failure, my next quarter, I achieved all of my goals because I had a weekly meeting with myself. I was like, yeah! So it's not that I didn't know what to do, but I hadn't created a check-in system to help me stay on track and hold me accountable. So it's really important that you have created some routines in your life so that whatever it is you said you're going to do becomes easy. So for me and my business, that means on Mondays, I have a weekly meeting with myself. Since I'm in business by myself, it's always going spectacularly because there's no arguments.
Wow.
Well, people always give me crap and they're like, oh, how'd that meeting go? Is there a lot of conflict there? So I just beat you to the punch by saying that. And then it's also important that you have regular check-in points for yourself so that you can evaluate how are you doing. So whether that's weekly, like I do with my business, or whether that's daily that I do with how do I want to feel? If I want to feel energized, victorious, and joy, I read out these statements before, when I wake up and then before I go to bed. And so at night, when it's bedtime, I'm like, ooh, did I hit those 3? So now it's a daily check-in for me. And so I'm not getting any more than a day off track, which is pretty great. So if I'm like, ooh, I didn't hit them, then I go back to my list of these are the action steps that I need to do. Which ones did I skip? Oh, okay, well then I know exactly what I need to do to get back on track. I just need to make sure I do that thing tomorrow and I should have a great day. So Jade is asking, what do you do in your weekly meetings for success? My weekly meeting with myself. So that one is a business meeting and usually takes me like 45 minutes. If you were doing it in a company with a lot of people, they say it takes 90, but I've got it down to 45. So I go through my scorecard for all the things that are really important that I need to do that help me stay on track. This is my business, remember, this is not my personal. And then, so I look at those numbers and I always think of Andrea because she told me about the greens and the reds that she had with her team when they were doing this. And so then I color it in. I'm like, am I at a green or am I not at a green? And then those are the things like, oh, shoot, that's what I need to make sure I'm doing this week if I didn't hit it. And then I go through the highlights, like what went really well, what was the low, and then identify, like I focus on what are the things I'm, like my big 3 goals.
Regular checkpoints. That's a great idea.
Yes. What are the issues that I face this week, and then what's on my to-do list so that I can overcome those issues, or what do I need to do to address those issues? So that gives me my framework for my business for the whole week. And then by the end of those 90 days, I should have hit all of the goals that I set for myself. So Jade is confused. That's okay, Jade, because that was a business thing. Daily, when I go through, it's the program that I'm going to be teaching in my online course is called the Success Journal. And so it takes all 6 of these things and puts them together into an easy to use system. And so there's a couple of statements that you're going to be saying each day. And so for me, it's, how do I want to feel? And then I am successful because, and that's my game plan. And so, for example, I am successful because I do a weekly fire ceremony. I release burdens that do not belong to me. I make it a priority to enjoy life. I make healthy choices. I'm diligent with my finances and a bunch of other things, right? So those are the things I need to make sure that I do every single day. So if at the end of the day I was like, oh, I didn't feel victorious today. Oh, that's because I didn't do hard things today. Okay, well then that means tomorrow I need to make sure I do a hard thing because that was the piece that was missing. So hopefully that answers your question, Jade. And for sure we'll go way more in depth in the course and be able to answer specific questions about that as you start to craft what your plan looks like, and then run it past people, get some feedback on it, and then say yeah, does this feel doable for me? Oh, AJ's confused. I will help the little wooden head. Okay, good. So, you know, I'm being a little general today in like what the solutions are because everybody's working on something different. So whether it's your finances or your health or your work or your relationships, like we're being super broad today because I want to just make sure that it's something that works for everyone. But if you want to get super specific for yourself, that's where a lot of these pieces will come in. So, but making sure that you've created a routine and then some regular check-ins so you can evaluate yourself like, hey, how am I doing? So what's really nice is that I only get off like a day. Like if we think back on our life, like when we set a goal or like when our life gets off track, like sometimes it could be weeks or months or even years that we're like in a funk. And how incredible would that be to only get off track for a day or a week at most, because you now know what solutions you need to take action on to turn that whole thing around. So it's not like, I don't know what to do. Sure, you've already decided what you were going to do in these situations. Now you just need to go do it.
What are some rewards that are not online shopping or eating?
Ooh, so rewards, what I recommend for people, that's a really great question, is, well, number one, for me, like the reward is how I get to feel. Like I want to feel this way, and getting to feel that way is so incredible. Like a lot of times that's reward enough. Like I don't need anything on top of that. But something else that you could do is create a list of the things that bring you joy. And I have I sent out a newsletter about that, but it's also a blog post on my website that you can go look at, where it talks about like making a list, and mine's just on a Post-it, of the things that bring me joy. So, because if joy is one of the things I want to feel, then I need to see what are my options for making that happen. And what I recommend is that some of your options are ones that you have complete control over yourself, so it does not involve other people. And then have some options that involve other people. So, for example, playing. If I'm going to go play, it's really hard to play by yourself. So that means like I might be playing with my nephews, but if my nephews aren't available, then I wouldn't be able to play that day. Some people can play with their pets, which is great. And so that might be more of a guaranteed thing since your pets are always there. But some of the other ones I have on my list are like playing piano. So if no one else is available to do the thing that brings me joy, then I have an option for myself. So I could play piano, or I could sing or dance. Like those are ones for myself that don't require other people. So I don't have an excuse to be like, oh, I couldn't experience joy today because these people weren't available. So you want to have a mix of both. And that can be your reward, right? Because it brings you joy. So joy doesn't just have to come from eating or online shopping. There are probably other things in your life that bring you joy. You just need to think about what they are and write them down. So, okay. So Debbie's asking, what about a positive vision board, or is that in chapter 2? Oh, okay. So you certainly could if you're like a visual person. Like once you've identified like what those steps are, like these are the things I need to do every day. If you wanted a visual representation for that, you could do that. But most people are using the vision board for that mistake where you're so focused on an end goal that you can't enjoy the now. And so everything that I've come across for vision boards is like, where do you want to be? And I'm being revolutionary in saying, why can't we be where we want to be every single day, right, starting right now, because we are now able to feel the way that we want to feel. Instead of feeling like, I'm tired of failing, I'm super frustrated, I'm the only one who has this problem, what's wrong with me, why can't I do anything right? And all of these mistakes will bring us to that kind of place where we're being super hard on ourselves, and we're starting to lose faith in our ability to take action on the things that we said we were going to do because we didn't set ourselves up for success. So that's my caution for you about using something like a vision board. Like, I had those in the past too, and I actually just hung them on my fridge. And guess what? I never got there, and they just made me feel worse. So just, be mindful about what you're doing and make sure that it's supporting you on exactly where it is you want to go. So, all right, are there any other questions? These have been good ones. Thanks, everybody. While you're doing that, I'm going to switch out here. How's that wait time, right? It's almost painful, isn't it? Okay, so the great news is, folks, you do not have to do this alone. I have created an online course called 6 Steps to Transform Your Life that are going to take all the solutions that we talked about today and put them into a quick and easy to use system to ensure your success. So there's no guessing anymore. You'll know, like, I am on track. I'm doing all the things I need to do to get where I want to go. So, from a couple of people who are already using success journals to transform their life, this is what they have to say. It helps me to reflect on my day and what I have accomplished, and it also helps me to feel thankful for what I have and who I have around me. So that one was from Adam. And then Michelle says,
what? I have something on there?
Yeah, thanks for listening. And Michelle said that I love that I know exactly what I need to do each day to achieve my goals and how to get back on track when things are off. So, thanks, Shafali. Okay, so if you want to restore faith in yourself and become victorious, then you're gonna love 6 Steps to Transform Your Life. This is an interactive, fun, and practical online course where you'll learn how to overcome all of these challenges that we talked about today that are not supporting your success so that you can feel energized, focused, and victorious. So the price for the course is $99. And as I said, we have a special offer going on right now that when you buy a course, or for every course that is sold, then we get to offer the course to a person who doesn't currently have the resources to pay for it. So now it's available for everyone. There's no excuses. And this is because we believe that the ability to transform your life should not be limited to just those who have the financial resources to do so. It should be open to everyone who is willing to do the work. So you can head over to CoachMarissa.com to register for the class or apply for a scholarship. I think I got it all working. There might be a couple of bugs in it, and if there are, just let me know and I will go fix it, because that's what I was working on before this started. So, and help me spread the word about what we've got going on here, because at The Power Within, we believe that if we work together, we can empower healthy and fulfilling lives for everyone by transforming ourselves, our relationships, and our work. We can give the world an opportunity to experience what it's like to foster connection, share power, and lift each other up. So I hope that you will join me. The course is 6 days, and it's going to start on Monday, April 27th. It's flexible, so you'll get a video each day that walks you through each of these steps that we talked about. It'll take about 10 minutes of time to do that. And then each day I will have a live Q&A session at 8 p.m. and I'll record that as well. So if that doesn't work in your schedule, you'll still be able to access the information even if you can't be live on it. So we'll have a Facebook group where you get to interact with your fellow classmates and post your assignments each day, because accountability is a key component to us being successful. And then after those 6 days, I'm also offering support through our Facebook group and weekly Q&As to help you with the actual implementation of this system in your life so that you are getting the transformation that you were hoping for. because a lot of times my clients stumble in that first month and they're like, oh yeah, I just kind of forgot about it, or like things get in the way. And so I want to make sure that we are offering you the support that you need so that you are getting exactly where you want to go, and that we help you through the tough spots in the beginning, right? We're going to uncover those potential obstacles and come up with solutions for how to get through them. So I think that's everything about the course. It should be amazing. I have been using a success journal since 2011, I think is the year. And at that point in time, when it was introduced to me, and I've like added more into it, but I was in a super, super negative place, and I couldn't be positive anymore. And I followed the directions that the person who taught it to me said to do, and like literally within weeks, I had totally transformed my situation and achieved everything I said I wanted to go out and achieve. So if that's not testimonial enough for you, then it's not for you. So I'm so excited that you guys were here with me tonight. We'll have another live next Friday night at 7 o'clock, and I hope you'll join us then. And I'm Coach Marissa of The Power Within, empowering healthy and fulfilling lives, body, mind, and soul. Thanks, everybody!